Hi everybody, I'm Alexey Krabrov, the organizer of SF Scala, and here we are on location at Twitter, where today we have a meetup on Finatra and Finch, and here with us we have Travis, Vladimir and Steve, who will present, and they will tell us a little bit about themselves and what they do at Twitter. We'll start with Travis.
Okay, I'm Travis Brown. I work on the open source team here at Twitter. And I really shouldn't be the one starting because this is about, so they're giving the main talks about Finch and Finatra, and I'm just talking about a couple of experimental integrations that we're thinking about doing in future versions of Finch. So my job on the open source team is, I work as an open source advocate for projects like Finagle specifically and Twitter util, and I also do some other work with other projects like Finatra sometimes. Anything else? What else?
Hi, I'm Vladimir. I'm on CSL team here at Twitter, working on Finagle full-time. And today I'm going to talk about the Finch library, which is kind of like outside project. And it just like make your life easier with Finagle HTTP. And yeah, that's probably all. You'll see, you'll know everything from my talk.
Hi, my name is Steve Cosenza. I lead the Finatra and Data API teams here at Twitter. I became really interested in contributing Finatra because I've always been passionate about writing like modular testable services, and Finatra lets you do that on top of Twitter's stack. And tonight I'm going to be presenting some of the new features available in the new version 2 of Finatra.
Thanks, guys. So I hear that some of these are side projects and some folks at Twitter are saying they're using open source. Is this what you do for actual main function? And if not, how does open source and your job function work together? And maybe you can like elaborate a little bit about overall Twitter culture on this topic.
Great question. My normal day job is leading the Data API team at Twitter, where we create APIs to expose Twitter data to business partners. But Finatra is a project I'm really passionate about. I lead the development efforts, and we also have some people that work full-time on it.
I work full-time on Finagle and doing sometimes Finch, like during the day or probably on the weekend. Usually it happens in my spare time. And yeah, there is not too much to do, and usually it's just enough to like spend a couple of hours per day maybe. Yeah, but most of the time, at work, I'm working on Finagle.
So because I'm on the open source team, it is the majority of my job is working on the open source side of these projects, and because there are some things that we do. So we use different build systems internally and externally. So when we open source a project, often there will be specific work that needs to be done because the build systems that we've been using internally don't work for the outside world. And so I guess that's been the main role that I've played in Finatra so far is taking our internal build configuration for Finatra and making sure that we can convert it over to SBT, which is the open source build tool that we're using. And with Finch, I've been so Finch, Vladimir will tell us a little more about this, but it originally started as an open source project outside of Twitter, and it's still its primary home, unlike some of our open source projects, is on GitHub, not in an internal monorepo. And so it's got the nice feature that it's been open source from the beginning.
Great. So I think we have actually a very interesting set of Finagle technologies here, and I think it's good to mention that we're planning to do a Finagle part of Scala by the Bay conference in August. And traditionally, like the non-Twitter stack is Akka, Kafka, Spark, and things like that. And Twitter has Finagle and Hummingbird, and we really want to raise the profile of these technologies in the community. I think a lot of them are used inside Twitter. We see a lot of more visibility happening. So maybe you can kind of tell us briefly to folks who want to come to this conference in August and learn more about Finagle, what are the best things about Finagle you guys are working with, how these components interoperate, and maybe Travis, like, how do you see that spreading in the community?
Yeah, so we have many production Twitter HTTP services that run on Finatra, and we're really excited to be able to get this new version 2 out in the community, get some feedback, and also be able to see kind of what new features people are able to contribute back as well.
The funny thing that I actually submitted a talk to Scala Bay about Finch. So if you somehow accept it, I'm going to talk about Finch much more. Yeah, right. And so I believe we will have a Finagle section there. So Travis, maybe you'll give some more details about it.
Yes, so we're still working out the details of what the Finagle Conference in August will look like, but we're hoping to have a call for papers up in at least the next couple of weeks, probably, and a more complete schedule and plan for what that day will look like. So yeah, it's something that we're really excited about, that it's something that we're going to be able to bring together a lot of people who are current Finagle adopters or potential Finagle adopters, or people who are just curious. Like, we want to learn more about how we can use Finagle for our own applications.
So, so you guys work in different groups, and Twitter is very large. Like, so I wonder, how do you, like, what is the software discovery like? Like, how do you find, that what you want to write was not already written on Twitter, or if it was, how do you go about using it? And let's say, you want some piece of it refactor. Is there anything like a central repository, or where are the reusable components? Where do they live? How do you go about essentially refactoring Twitter code base and copywriting around it?
So I don't know if I'm the person to answer, since I don't primarily, unlike these other two, work in Twitter's internal monorepo primarily. So I guess that, let's see, how did we learn about each other's projects? That would be a good place to start.
Yeah, right. I've learned about Finatra some time ago before I joined Twitter. So I kind of already know that there is such thing. And I believe we have a wiki page, some kind of a tech radar internally that says what you can use and what you can't use inside the Twitter. And that's basically how we do it.
Yeah, we have all of our source code primarily lives in one large monorepo. We have code search tools that allow you to find different pieces of software. We have a standard way of documenting the software, who the service owners are. And a lot of it is also just kind of face-to-face. Most of the software engineers are at San Francisco's office. And yeah.
Cool. And I'll wrap up with this question to each of you. What makes it the most fun working on Twitter? What is your favorite kind of part of software engineering job at Twitter? What part of the day you enjoy the most? What kind of software engineering work is your favorite pastime?
I love the scale of engineering problems at Twitter, and I also love the diverse challenges that we face. So that's been really exciting to be a part of. And I'm really passionate about writing kind of modular, testable code. So I've been able to do. Finatra is one way of doing that on the Twitter stack that we've found a lot of value from.
Yeah, what about me? I really enjoy working on Finagle, since we kind of in the bottom of the stack. Everybody depends on us, and you can easily broke everything in just one commit. And it's always fun to to control the things and be able to fix everything. And yeah, it's fun.
So I'd been working with Scala for a couple of years before I joined Twitter last May. And so I really care a lot about the Scala community and about a number of Scala open source projects. So I think for me, one of the most exciting parts about working at Twitter is being able to see our open source products being adopted by the Scala community, and then also to work on things like the things that I'm going to be talking about tonight, where we are trying to integrate our open source software projects with other popular open source software projects in the Scala community.
I have to ask you, Travis, you do so much great work and answers on Stack Overflow. Mm-hmm. And you provide detailed, deep answers, and a lot of them.
Thanks, Alexei.
When do you find the time? How many of you are there?
I do a lot of it at night. It's just like a bad habit that I'll happen to notice that there's a new Stack Overflow question on my phone, and I'll have to like run to a computer and answer it because it's just this compulsion that I have. So yeah, it's a lot of fitting things in little pieces of free time.
That's very appreciated by the community. It really is seen there. It works. It helps. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We're looking forward to the meetup.